Let's chant the prayers and then can continue from there. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Devasatharine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So let me share my screen. Yeah, before that we will be discussing chapter 6 as Dhyana Yoga. And as of now, we have gone till just very brief in verse number 6 as of now. So till that we have discussed about Krishna says about the two stages of Ashtanga Yoga. Even before that, Krishna recommends to do Niskam Karma Yoga. And then Krishna describes about two kind of Ashtanga Yoga. One is, two stages. This Aruruksha and Arudha. So Aruruksha is initial stage or beginning stage, and then Arudha is advanced stage, right? So as says, there are the eightfold yoga system or Ashtanga Yoga. And the initial fives are Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara. These are in the initial stage or beginning stage or Aruruksha stage. And in that stage, Krishna recommends that person still, if it's not completely purified, and I mean, even he has not given up completely the sense gratification things, then he should work. He should perform his duty as Nishkam Karma Yoga. And in advanced stage, he gives up everything. Right. And also Krishna explains one more thing about the sannyasa. Sannyasa is actually more of the mood, more of the consciousness, rather than giving up things, rather than giving up the results of the activities what we get, right, and offer it to Krishna. So in that way, we need to perform our duties. And then Krishna spoke a very important point about mind, isn't it? And Krishna says that the mind is both friend and enemy at the same time. So the mind, if the mind is controlled, that can be the best friend. If the mind is uncontrolled, it can become the worst enemy, or it can say greatest enemy of the person. And Krishna also speaks about this, the mind, through mind actually wants to try to elevate himself, rather not to degrade himself. So the mind can be the cause for our upgrade as well as degrade. And Krishna says we should try to upgrade ourselves. And ultimately we should, well, Krishna is going to talk about Manmanabho Mad Bhakto. So just remember about Krishna, things about Krishna, offer things to Krishna, right? So that things we have discussed as of now, and today we'll continue from there, right? So let me share my screen. Hope you are able to see my screen. If you want me to zoom a bit, I can zoom it as well. Or is all okay? Let me zoom a bit. Okay. So yes, till text 6 we have discussed that Krishna says the mind can be the bandhu, it can be very much our friend, and also it can become satru. So it can also become enemy of, isn't it? So if mind is not controlled, it will become enemy, or it's going to destroy our things. And if we are discussing earlier, the essence of the human life is actually to get out of the cycle of birth, death, old age and disease, and get out from this temporary world and go to the spiritual world. And if the mind is not being used in proper way, then it's going to be havoc in our life, right? So let's see in 7. So from 7, 8, 9, and these 3 verses, Krishna is going to explain about the symptoms of person who is in advanced stage, right? So Don't get confused if Krishna says a higher thing, because it's Krishna is going to talk about advanced stage now, right? So how this advanced yogis who are on the path of Ashtanga yogis and who meditate on Lord Krishna as a Paramatma, and what are the qualifications, and what are the state they have, what are the qualities they have, right? So these 3 verses, Krishna is going to speak about that. So let's see text 7. जीतात्मा प्रशान्तस्य परमात्मा समाहितः शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखेषु तथा मानापमानयो. Krishna says that these persons who are on the advanced stage, so who are on the stage of dhyana, dharana, and samadhi, where in that stage, what happened? They jitatmana, so they conquer the mind, so they can able to conquer the mind, and they are prasantasya. Prasantasya means, Krishna Prabhupada says, who has attained tranquility by such control over the mind. So when mind is controlled, they are completely equipoised, right, on that stage. Let's read translation first. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached, and for he has attained tranquility. And to such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor, all are same. Because even if you remember, Krishna speaks the same thing earlier as well in chapter 2. So, right. So there, this point is being mentioned again as Krishna Sukha Dukkha Agma Payanata. He should tolerate these things. What? The heat and cold, honor and dishonor. So the one who is on the advanced stage, what he sees, he actually has conquered his mind completely. So the mind is completely been conquered, and hence, as the mind has been completely conquered, he has actually reached onto the super soul stage, because he can see super soul. He can meditate on that stage, right? And to this person, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor, dishonor are all same. If you see, these things has very, very deep meaning. Heat and cold, right? So heat and cold is what? Heat and cold is basically on our bodily platform, isn't it? So it's basically, if you see, on the warm weather, summer season, we feel heat, and we need some cold. And in cold weather, we feel cold and we need some heat. So that's on our bodily platform, and the body feels heat and cold, right? And on that, on the happiness and distress, these are more onto mental level. We feel happy and distress from our mind, isn't it? So one level, Krishna is talking about heat and cold. So the one who is on the advanced stage, he actually control very easily about the heat and cold. If you see, I've seen a picture a long back of a yogi in Himalayas. So all where it's snow, but he's just with his on just one cloth in his body and completely naked, right? Except one cloth in his body. So he doesn't feel so much of heat of that, right? So I mean, that's an example. So in this way, they can have control completely on heat and cold. That's on bodily platform. And another what is happiness and distress is actually on the mental platform. Even the mentally, though, they don't get disturbed if they get, I mean, when they get happiness, it's same. When they get distress, they're same, because all are still on the mental plane. And the honor and dishonor, this happens on our egoistic level, isn't it? So when we get honor, we become more proud. And when we get dishonored, we may do something else as well, isn't it? So how that person could dishonor me, we get hurt or that. So the person who are in advanced stage, they could control the heat and cold, or basically the dualities, as heat and cold in the bodily platform, as well as on the mental platform, as well as on the ego platform as well. So that's how they think everything as all are same, all are anyway temporary, right? So Prabhupada says that actually every living entity is intended to abide by the dictation of Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. So Paramatma is one who actually is sitting within our own self, right? So, and then Prabhupada says the effect of controlling the mind is that one automatically follow the dictation of Paramatma or Super Soul. Right. So when one's control the mind, he can hear the words coming from Super Soul, the Paramatma. And hence, because this transcendental position is at once achieved by one who is in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada again comes back again saying this path of bhakti, the path of Krishna consciousness is so sublime that one can reach on this platform very easily. Right. And hence the devotee of the Lord is unaffected by the dualities of material existence, namely distress, happiness, cold, heat, etc. And this is practically a samadhi or absorption in the Supreme. So the yogis, they gradually go over there, but Prabhupada is trying to focus the same thing again because Krishna is going to say the same about the bhakta. And Prabhupada says, yes, the bhaktas or the devotees of Krishna who practice Krishna consciousness, these things come very easily for them because they are completely absorbed in the Supreme. Right. Okay, so speaking about that, this is one of the qualities of or symptoms of the person who are at advanced stage. There are two more verses. Krishna will say the same thing. Let's see on verse 8. So as of now, they could tolerate the dualities like sama sukha dukha. So they are in sukha and dukha, heat and cold, mana apmana. They are all good, all on the equal state, right? The things, everything is same. And in text 8, Krishna says more about that. He says, Jnana Vijnana Tiptatma Kutastho Vijitendriyaha Yukta iti Uchyate Yogi Sama Lostra Sama Kanchana. A person is said to be established in the self-realization and is called yogi when he is fully satisfied by the virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it is pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same. So as of now, he could see the previous verse, he talks about his bodily. The body is ego, the body is mental state, and the body is in a physical state. So whatever he gets from this, he thinks all as same. And now Krishna takes another steps. He says the person who is in self-realization state or who is on an advanced stage, he is actually called as yogi, right? So he is satisfied. He's fully satisfied by two things. What? Jnana and Vijnana. So Triptatma means he is completely satisfied, right? So in Jnana and Vijnana, Jnana means what? Knowledge. What knowledge? About the all phenomena knowledge. And Vijnana is self-realization. So Jnana and Vijnana is practical and Jnana is theoretical. You can understand in that way as well. So when we acquire knowledge, again, Krishna says the same thing in chapter 7, I think, to Arjuna. Chapter 7, verse 2. Krishna says, I will tell you about Jnana Vijnana Sahitam. So when you know all these things, there's nothing else remain for you to know. Krishna says in chapter 7 to Arjuna. So Jnana means this yogi, they have acquired knowledge as well as they have realizations. Means one way is understanding about this metal phenomena, all the things happens. How it happened? It's all because of Krishna. That is Vijnana. That's the realization. Right? We realize that, okay, this metal world has been made by this and this matters, these and these are there. But how? It's all by Krishna. That's the realization. So Jnana and Vijnana. Right. And by knowing all these things, by the virtue of these, we acquire knowledge, Jnana, and realizations. These yogis, they are Tiptatma, they are completely satisfied at whatever conditions they are. And in that stage, what happens? They see even a stones, a pebbles, or a gold as the same, because everything has come from the material nature, isn't it? So this way, the yogis, they see the stone and the gold as equal. But if you think our own self, we can distinguish the difference. Oh, gold is something which can give us so much money, or it needs so much money to buy, but you can get stones freely here and there. But anyway, both are on material level, isn't it? So that's how the vision of these great realized souls are that state, that they see gold as well as the stones as thin. Right. So Prabhupada says the book knowledge without realization of supreme truth is useless. It means only jnana is useless. So jnana has to be culminated towards realizations, towards vijnana. So what is jnana? Jnana is getting knowledge, and vijnana is relating that knowledge with supreme law, supreme truth. Otherwise, without that, it's useless. And Prabhupada quotes a verse from Bhakti Sindhu that how we can understand this, or how can we be on a platform of self-realization? How can we get these things? So it's very nice verse. So Ataha Sri Krishna Namadi na bhaved graham indriya sevan mukhe hi jiva do swam evasmate adaha. What that means? No one can understand the transcendental nature of name, form, quality, pastimes of Sri Krishna through his material contaminated senses. So all the senses what we have, these are all actually contaminated by the material, because we are always, these senses always act in the three mode. We either in the mode of passion, mode of goodness, or mode of ignorance. So that's how it becomes very, very difficult to understand the transcendental nature of the Lord. Lord's name, Lord's form, Lord's quality, Lord's pastimes. However, there is a way. What says? Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, quality, pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. So it means, again, when we become devoted to Lord, when we have complete faith on the Lord's pastimes, Lord's name, Lord's Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and when we elevate ourselves spiritually, then we start doing some service to Lord, right? Maybe just offering a food, that's also service. Even cleaning temple, that's also service. Associating with the devotees, that's also service. So in any way, when we engage ourselves in the service of the Lord, then what happens? The transcendental name, form, quality, and pastimes of the Lord are revealed to him. So in this way, it gets revealed by Krishna himself. Because Krishna, we can cheat anyone in this world, but we cannot cheat Krishna, because Krishna is there within our heart as Paramatma. He knows very well of what we intended to. So even sometimes, if you are traveling on the path of spirituality, how much inclined we are, how much focused we are, how much dedicated we are, we may show to some person in a different way, but Krishna knows it very well as he's in our heart. So as he knows, he sees that, okay, this person is actually sincere. He's actually trying to get something. He's trying to elevate himself towards this transcendental nature, towards the spiritual world. Then Krishna sees our endeavor and he shows his mercy. And by that mercy, we can actually understand Krishna's names, form, quality, and pastimes. Otherwise, it's not possible. Ataha Sri Krishna Namadi na bhavet graham India. So sometimes people say, okay, I will only believe in God when you show me God. So that's actually they challenge God. So Krishna says, okay, no worries. You challenge yourself. You won't be able to see God. Right? So that's the mode. When we act in a mode of challenging to Krishna, Krishna is not obliged to show himself to us. However, with a very simple prayer of Lord by Arjuna to Lord, Krishna shows his manifested form, his universal form to Arjuna, isn't it? So that's how when we start doing some service to Lord, because those are transcendental, then Krishna starts revealing to us. And Prabhupada very nicely says that this Bhagavad Gita is the science of Krishna consciousness. And no one can become Krishna conscious simply by mundane scholarship. I remember from this line, once, I think His Holiness Prabhupada Maharaj, he was at my home some 3-4 years back, I guess. And then he was sharing his conversation with some of the people in India. And he says he made some of the scholars, they can speak out the Bhagavad Gita's, slokas here and there very well. However, they don't have firm conviction about Krishna. So that's how, just becoming scholars, we cannot become Krishna consciousness. Rather than developing attitude to serve Lord, we can become Krishna consciousness. Right? So becoming scholar, it doesn't mean that we have become Krishna consciousness. No. Scholar, if we have scholars, if we can recite verses, if we can chant verses, if we can explain things verses, that's very good. However, we should have firm conviction about Lord Krishna as well. And Prabhupada nicely says here that one must be fortunate enough to associate with a person who is in pure consciousness. So as an it has a very depth meaning. So though we may have that quality or scholarship, but unless and until we associate with the people, with the devotees who are in the state of pure consciousness, it's become very difficult for us to understand who Krishna is, or to understand the science of Krishna consciousness, to understand the words of Bhagavad Gita itself. Right? So one must try himself to become fortunate. How? By associating with these devotees, with these persons. Right? Why? And Prabhupada says that because a Krishna consciousness person has realized knowledge by the grace of Krishna, because he is satisfied with the pure devotional service. So pure devotional service is the essence by which they are satisfied, and by the grace of Lord, they are completely equipoised whatever they have. And Krishna says, then I take care of all the things of my devotees as well. So nothing to worry on that. Right? So that's the point, was that how can we understand Krishna? So anyway, this verse talks about the transcendental or advanced yogi, but even by practicing Krishna consciousness, we can actually travel ourselves or take ourselves towards those levels of understanding gold as well as people's looking at the same state. If you see, Krishna speaks in chapter 10 as well, that just imagine, isn't it is a wonderful giant elephant, a human being, a small insect, ant. We can see ant, but there are so many insects which we cannot see by our naked eyes. Even in that, Krishna resides as Paramatma, isn't it? So the bodily picture may be different. Elephant has huge body. A human being, not that much, but and even if we compare ant, it nothing's compared to the size of an elephant. But still, Paramatma is living in it, right? So that's another stage of advanced stage of yogis. What the earlier one we discussed about their bodily concepts, and now they are about thoughts, isn't it? They think, they see these pebbles, stones, and gold all are the same, because they are completely realized by having good knowledge and realization of God. Right. Okay, so let's see the next one. The 9 again speaks about the qualities of this. Shuhunmitraye udasina madhyastha devasya bandrishu sadrushu api cha papeshu samabuddhir vishishyate. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wisher, affectionate benefactor, the neutral, the mediator, the envious, friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind. So it means they see everyone with equal mind. They do not think about this. It's a nice saying that hate the sin, not the sinner, isn't it? So sinner, the person has somehow or other has put in that condition, so that's why he makes some sin. But that person, if elevated, they can become a pious person as well. So that's why it says, hate the sinner, hate the sin, not the sinner. So if you see this advanced stage, or even the further advanced yogis who are on that stage, everyone, so they sees every person's actually to be very equal. Right? So they treat everyone as equal. Okay, he's so rich, so I will reward him something, or I will talk with him in a very other way. And if someone is poor, then I will see him in another eyes. It's not that. They all have the equal vision. Right. So basically, these are the three verses where Krishna speaks about this advanced yogi, and they are completely satisfied with this knowledge, and they have self-realized. They have equal visions towards, even towards the stones, pebbles, to the gold, even to the people as well, to the pious or sinners and friends or enemy, everyone. Right. Right. So let's see the next. So from next verse, from 10 to 32, Krishna speaks about another way, that is about the Ashtanga yogi, some postures, and how they practice. Basically, you can say the stages of practicing Ashtanga yoga. Right. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanah rahasi sthitah ekaki yata chittatma nirashir aparigraha. So a transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind, and self in relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness. Again, these are on the stage of Ashtanga Yoga. So anyone who wants to go there, or who wants to practice Ashtanga Yoga, his heart, he should engage his mind, body, and self in what? In relationship with the Supreme. So it's not vague, isn't it? We have to engage our mind, the body, and our own self in relationship to Supreme Lord. And then he says, those who want to practice this transcendental path, those who want to be on the path of Ashtanga Yoga, what they should do? They should live alone in a secluded place. I mean, if you see, there are so many pilgrimages. If you see in India, like Rishikesh, Vrindavan, and in all the Himalayas, in Allahabad, Varanasi, there are so many people. They practice these things. They live alone in a place, and they should carefully control the mind. Again, even in that stage, it's not about the keeping up anything. Even in that stage of yogis, they have to control their mind completely, and they could control their mind in such a state that they should be free from all desires and feeling of possessiveness. So possessiveness, as soon as we have possessiveness, we can't give up our desires, isn't it? So they give up the feelings of possessiveness as well. They understand that everything is actually of Krishna, right? And hence they practice. So Krishna Prabhupada talks about here again these three things that we have discussed, but here we will discuss it again about these things. Krishna says, Prabhupada says, Krishna is realized in different stages as Brahman, Paramatma, and Supreme Personality of Godhead. So three stages of realization. Brahman, we discussed earlier, but let's discuss again a bit. Brahman is what? Krishna's effulgence, right? And Paramatma is Krishna's expansion. And Supreme Personality of God, Krishna himself, so his personal form. So three stages of realization. One is Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So these two, Brahman and Paramatma, these are not complete realization. These are actually partial realization of Krishna. And even those who are in this stage, they partially or indirectly they do Krishna consciousness, but not completely. Right. However, when we realize the third stage of Bhagavan stage, there by default Brahman and Paramatma stage comes within. So when you are on the stage of Brahman, you might not realize Paramatma stage, you might not realize Supreme Lord or Bhagavan stage. Even when you are in Paramatma stage, you realize Brahman, you go higher to Paramatma stage, and then you may not realize the Bhagavan or his form realizations. But when we realize the Bhagavan stage, we have three things included in that. So let's take a very, very brief examples how these things are can be understood. I think we have discussed earlier as well. So Prabhupada gives me an example about the sun globe. So the sun globe is one and we see the sun rays. That's second. And if you go to sun globe, we can actually see a sun god. So the sun can be understood in three ways. So as soon as the sunlight comes to our house, in our house, in our room, we can say that, okay, sun has come out, isn't it? We don't have to go out and see sun. Just by seeing that light has come in this world, or we can see that, okay, a day has come up, sun has come out, isn't it? So sun ray is not independent of sun glow. As sun comes, sun rays come, right? And the second stage is Paramatma. Paramatma is, so sun rays are compared to the Brahman stage, and the Paramatma is second stage, where we can see a sun globe. When you go out, we can see, yes, there is circle, though from here we see it's a small circle, but actually it's many million times huge than Earth, isn't it? That we all see in study in science. So that's the second stage, that globe, sun globe. Yeah, we cannot reach there because it's too hot. I will get burned over there. We can't reach, but we very well understood and know that there is a Lord of sun. That's called a sun god. So there is a personality behind the sun god. So that does three stages of understanding. One is Brahman, the sun rays; Paramatma, the sun globe; and sun god, or Krishna, Supreme Brahman, a supreme personality of Godhead. So these three stages, when it comes in a context with Krishna, what happens? First, Brahman is the effulgence that's actually coming out from the body of Lord Krishna. And the second is Paramatma, who Krishna expanded himself in each and every living entity as Paramatma. And then third, Krishna himself. These are the three stages of understanding or realizing Krishna. Right, let's see next. So Krishna consciousness means concisely to be always engaged in transcendental loving service of the Lord. But those who are attached to impersonal Brahman or localized super soul are partially Krishna consciousness. So three stages, but the first two stages, Brahman and Paramatma, normally the Jnanis, they are in the first Brahman stage, and the Yogis, they are in the second stage, Paramatma stage. However, the Bhakta, or the devotee of Lord, they are on the final and third stages, or Bhagavan realization stage, right? So Prabhupada says that these two stages, Brahman and Paramatma, they are partially Krishna consciousness. They are not in the complete state, right? Because the impersonal Brahman is the spiritual ray of Krishna, and the super soul is all pervading partial expansion of Krishna. Thus, the impersonalist and the meditator are also indirectly Krishna consciousness. However, a directly Krishna conscious person is topmost transcendentalist because such a devotees know what means by Brahman and Paramatma as well. So, just for example, sake of example, if in 1,000 pound, already 10 pound is there, already 100 pound is there, isn't it? If you have 10 pound, if someone asks you 1,000 pound, you won't be able to give it or won't be able to take it out. But if you have 1,000 pound, so 100 is already included in that. So when we have the understanding of Krishna as a supreme person, then stage of Brahman and Paramatma is already within it, right? And hence the knowledge of absolute truth is perfect by understanding the third stage of realization as supreme personality of Godhead. Whereas the impersonalists and the meditator yogis, they are not perfect or not complete in their realization. So you may be talking about why Prabhupada is talking about this, because Prabhupada is going to give us information that what coming next as bhakta. So there are stages of self-realization, and we'll see in this last verse of chapter 6, Krishna talks about bhakta. And so Prabhupada is pouring this knowledge to us again in the start of that. Right. And again, Prabhupada talks more about the way how we can perform Krishna consciousness directly or indirectly, right? And okay, so we can cover two more verses, 11, 12. So from 11 and 12, these two verses are actually These are the basic practices what the yogis do, how they go. If you see in 11th, in 10th, in 10th verse, Krishna said about that they should live in a secluded place and they should control the mind and they should be free from desires and possessiveness. And now he says what they do next. Sucho deshe pratisthaphya sthiram asanam atmanah nati uchritam nati nicham chailajina kushotaram तत्र काग्रम मनः कृत्वा यच्चित्तेन्द्रिय क्रियः उपविश्यासने युञ्ज्यात् योगम आत्मा विशुद्धये. Sorry. So these are the basic kind of, how do they practice it. So to practice the Ashtanga yoga, one should go to secluded place and should lay kusha grass. So kusha grass has significance, and and on the ground, so they should lay the kusha ground on the ground and then cover it with the deer skin and a soft cloth. And the seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. And the yogis should then sit it on very firmly and practice the yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses and activities and fixing the mind on one point. So many things has been said here. So let's go one by one. Says first they should go to a secluded place, right? It means you are actually away from everything. Where the place where you can control your mind very well, and you should not leave your senses to engage in other activities, right? And then maybe it's be also said he should go to a sacred place. Sacred places, as I said, Vrindavan, Dwarika, Rishikesh, Varanasi, and so many places in India. So there you can go in Himalayas, yeah. And then they should lay down kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with deer skin. So they can put the grass over there and they should put deer skin. So deer skin is why the point is deer skin is it's being said that when you put some deer skin, so when you go to a secluded place in the forest, inside forest, there may be chance of getting reptiles near you, right? And if you are in meditation, and some reptiles might come. So to get out of this danger, deer skin is recommended, because by deer skin the reptiles, they don't come there. And then on the top of that you can put some soft cloth, right? And nowadays he's going to call us yoga mats. So you can put some soft cloth over there and then sit on it. And after that, how you can make your seat? The seat should neither be too high nor too low and should be situated in a secluded place. Yes, we should go to pilgrimage places and the seat should not be too high and not too low. And then the yogis should then sit it very firmly. Very firmly means, you see, all bodies straight, spine is completely straight, hands straight over there. And then practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling the mind, senses and activities, and by fixing mind on one point. So I think it's coming in next as well. Yeah. So we'll discuss it, how it fixes in next verses. There it says, it means anyway, the point is you should have a proper seat, and the seat should be very in a sacred place, and you can cover it with a soft cloth. It should not be very high, it should not be very low. And then you meditate, you try to what? To purify the heart by controlling his mind. So again, the point is, by controlling the mind, you need to purify the heart, control the senses and all the activities, and fix the mind on one point. In next verse, we will discuss that the eyes should not be closed completely, neither it should be open completely. It should be half closed, half open. And we'll see that in next. It says, when you open the eyes completely, you may be distracted with so many sense objects. And when you close the eyes, you might get asleep. So the mind, the eyes would not be completely closed, could not be completely open as well. Right. Yeah, the Prabhupada says here about sacred place refers to place of pilgrimage. In India, the transcendentalists or the yogis, they leave their home and reside in sacred places such as Prayag, Mathura, Vrindavan, Rishikesh, Hardwar, and they practice yoga over there. Right. However, Prabhupada mentions the purport that it's actually becomes very, very difficult in this present age. That's actually Arjun himself is going to say it. If in the later part of this chapter, Arjuna going to say is that Krishna, whatever you are saying me, it's looking more difficult, right? And Prabhupada mentions here that practically, if you see in this Kali Yuga, it's become very, very difficult to do these things. And hence, Prabhupada says that the best way is to be in this world, be with your family, be in your job, and do serve everything at the same time. Just chant the holy name. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva, 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 Gatiranyata. In the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. And there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. Right? So it becomes very difficult to practice all these things in Kali Yuga. Again, the problem is we have very, very short life. Yeah, Prabhupada mentions here. The people in general are short-lived, slow in spiritual realizations, and always disturbed, misguided. Right? And the best means for spiritual realizations is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Right? So that's how I'll stop here. And anyone have any quick questions or thoughts? We can discuss it definitely.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
So there are so many stages that you mentioned. So this might be a very basic question, but I don't. Is that right? That this is not dependent on time. That okay, you go from one stage to the stage in so much time, and then it's next stage. It's all dependent on that person's devotion towards Krishna. Is that right? Or is there like time dependency?
Yeah, actually, no. It depends on person to person. That's correct. Yeah. So even Prabhupada, will see, Prabhupada says in some lectures that this process of yogas, Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga yogas, they actually take a lot of times. Because if you see where we are discussing about these stages, right? Yama, Niyamana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, and then go to Samadhi. That definitely needs a long time, isn't it? And without properly passing through the Yama, Niyama, if you jump over there, we won't be getting the right thing. So definitely to practice all these things, it takes time. Yeah, it might take, it may take X person 5 days, and it may take Y person some 5 years. So that depends upon person to person, that depends upon our dedication. However, as Prabhupada says in the last we discussed, that Prabhupada says in this Kali Yuga, even these practices becomes very, very difficult to follow. So that's why this process of chanting is recommended, especially in this Kali Yuga. Right. And Prabhupada says that as we know that even in the yoga practice of Ashtanga yoga or in the Jnana yoga, even we discuss in the Bhagavatam as well, where Kapil Dev says, then even in this process of Jnana yoga marga or Dhyana yoga marga, Ashtanga yoga marga, we'll have to somehow or other culminate this devotion towards Lord. We'll see it. Krishna is going to say that yogis, after getting in these postures, they actually meditate on my form. So ultimately, we know that we have to do service to Lord. So why to waste times in doing all these things rather than coming back to bhakti and start doing the things? So as I was saying some other day, that a 10-story floor, right? Either you can take the path of stairs or you can take the path of lift. You take the path of lift, you reach to 10th floor quickly. You take the path of stairs, definitely going to take time. If someone is having a problem with the knees, it's going to take more time to them, isn't it? So that's how it takes a time, definitely. However, the path of bhakti takes you more quicker on the path.
If I understand right, so if we take the path of bhakti, we don't have to go. Do we have to go through these so many steps, or
No,
okay?
no. So Prabhupada, we'll discuss it again. Even this verse also, I'll say you. Let me read it again. If you see, here. From here, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
From here, Prabhupada says, but often this is not possible, especially for Westerners. The so-called yoga society is in big cities may be successful in earning material benefits, but they are not at all suitable for the actual practice of yoga. One who is not self-controlled and whose mind is not undisturbed cannot practice meditation. Therefore, in Brahman Naradiya Puran, it is said that in Kali Yuga, the present age, when people in general are short-lived, slow in spiritual realizations, always disturbed by various anxiety, the best means of spiritual realizations is chanting the holy name of the Lord. So definitely the postures, as I say, by sitting properly with a back straight, controlling your breathing, closing your eyes a bit, half closed eye, it helps us in chanting the holy name. It helps to meditate well, but the complete process of asana, pranayam, and then dhyana, dharana, and samadhi, that is very, very difficult in this age of Kali. So we don't have to go to those processes if we are practicing the path of bhakti. So these points are there to just let us know about information, because Arjuna has asked and Arjuna wanted to go to forest. So Krishna is saying these things are there. We will see it. Prabhupada has already mentioned in the purport, but you will see it going further that Arjuna says that, oh Krishna, so these paths actually is to become very difficult for me. So please suggest something nice, right? Or which can be easier for me. Actually, Arjuna is talking on our behalf. So it's become difficult for us to give up everything and go to Himalaya, right? So what can we do? And Krishna says, Yoginam api sarvesam madgatinantara atmana sraddhavana bhajate yoman. So anyone who worship me with devotion is the topmost yogi. Right? So be it in our home, we can worship Krishna with devotion.
Sorry, Prabhuji, just one more question. I don't know if I don't want to take all the time. If somebody else has the question, they can ask, and then I can come back to the question.
No worries, that's okay.
Okay. So did this? Sorry, I'm new, so I might have a lot of basic questions. But so Mahabharata took place in a different yuga, right? It didn't take place in the same as where we are now.
No,
So,
it's not in Kali Yuga. Yeah.
And that time only Arjuna, Krishna mentioned the solution for Kali Yuga, is it, or was it for that specific yuga?
No. So Krishna spoke about a condition of what Arjuna is asking over there. But if you see it, actually by the acharyas, they explain the things depending on the time, place, and circumstances. So that stage was different. But in this stage, what has best recommended is being spoken by our acharyas in the purport. Right. So as the Ashtanga yogis, Ashtanga yogi, if you see on the Sati Yoga, so Sati Yoga, it's the people, they are very easily they go to meditation, and they in Sati Yoga they can spend thousands and thousands of years for meditation. But we have only 70-80 years of age. How can we do meditation? So for each ages, there is a different types of prescriptions be given. Right. So a doctor cannot give medicine, one medicine for every patient. So depending upon the intensity or the problems of the disease, they provide the medicines of higher levels or more, mgs and things. Right. In the similar way, in Sati Yogas, they could perform this yoga meditation things very easily. It's not easy, but they could. It's a general. In general, they have to perform it. But in Kali Yoga, meditation is not practiced in general, and generally we do yoga, and that's actually you do yoga and we say, okay, we are doing yoga, that's for keeping our body healthy, not towards realizing God over there, isn't it? So the acharyas, they depending on time, place, circumstances, they provide this remedy or the solutions what can be done in this present age. So in the Kali Yuga, it's best to chant the holy name of Lord.
Thank you so much.
Does that make sense, Mataji?
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you everyone. So Anyone have any other questions? Okay, so we'll stop today here, and we'll continue tomorrow. Yes, we'll continue tomorrow reading our book, Krishna Consciousness, the Matchless Gift. And I'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki
Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki
Jai.
Jai.
Hare